Hello and welcome, dear viewer. As you may have noticed, the frequency of videos on this channel has increased, which is mostly because I've had several great ideas for content I could make. Although you shouldn't exactly get comfortable with weekly videos, I just can't do that for long, I have something special today. A short walkthrough of how I make most videos. I think it may be interesting because many YouTubers have different approaches. Most of my videos are scripted. Depending on which ones exactly, a lot are 100% scripted, with the tutorial ones being partially unscripted or bullet point scripted. A major exception were the conscript addendum videos, which I had only planned in my head. So the first step in creating most videos, after I have an idea, is writing a script, which is usually revised 2 or 3 times, depending on how difficult the content is for me personally. While I write, I'm of course researching a lot. For the Pokemon damage formula video, in particular, I was researching at least 6 to 7 hours before I wrote any main section script. But again, this depends. After I am pleased with the script or even just one of its sections, I go to record. I've used at least 3 different microphones for this channel, but my current one and the one I'll use in the foreseeable future is a Rode NT1A, a mid-tier studio quality condenser mic that I'll probably discuss some more in the future. I record and save unprocessed, uncompressed audio with Audacity. I don't really have a lot of proper footage, so to speak, and I may go into camera stuff in the future, but for the most part I only need OBS Studio. When I'm recording external sources, I have a 4K HDMI Elgato PCIe capture card. When I'm done recording, I only need to edit, and this is usually the time-consuming part. I use DaVinci Resolve, as you have seen in the other videos, mostly because it's free. The exact editing workflow is very variable, and I need to stress that I'm 100% self-taught on video editing, so I am probably doing things wrong. For the following, I screen capped my main monitor while editing the SAO Defense Part 4, a short but still intensive video. Usually, I start by editing down the audio. I have probably 70% of sentences on the first take, and most of the remaining sentences are 2 takes, so this usually doesn't take much time. Since several videos, I've also started to use basic audio effects, and you can pause and see my equalizer curves and my dynamic setup. After finishing the audio and doing an audio listening pass, I do subtitles. You can see here that I'm copying the script from my second monitor and syncing it to the recording. I used to do subtitles towards the end, but nowadays I find it easier to just start with it after the audio is done. Next, I go through the audio and add anything that is required. For tutorial videos, there's usually screen capture synced to the audio, so this is pretty much the only time I need to do a V-sync. Otherwise, I have images, screenshots, videos from various sources, etc. There may be special stuff like the LaTeX formulas which I created for the Pokemon video. I also regularly recheck the script to make sure all the visual elements I planned in there are actually present. The stuff that takes the longest is any special effects I decide to do, where I often need to look things up. In this instance, there are only highlights for the screenshots and some blurs. When I'm finished editing, I rewatch the video at least once or twice to fix errors. Exporting is done directly to YouTube from Resolve. Descriptions are mostly prepared beforehand in the script, and I take care of the thumbnails afterward. After I've done all the other video metadata stuff, which includes uploading the exported subtitles, I usually publish directly. An exception is high resolution or long videos that take longer to process. Finally, here I have a tally of how long each part of the video making process takes and how much time I spend per minute of the final video. The exact proportions will vary, but I'm taking the Pokemon video as an example. Script writing was done over 4 weeks with about 1 or 2 hours spent every day, which is about 45 hours of work. Additionally, I spent at least 5 additional hours of pure research, but this is higher than usual. Then we have footage collection, which often happens during editing, but in this case involved about 3 hours of gameplay. I suspect I spent 5 hours here. Audio setup and recording time was about 1.5 hours, about twice the text length. Editing time on this video was massive, but I needed about 2.5 hours per minute of video. That's 112 hours. Although my usual average editing time per minute is only about 1.5 hours, this stresses that my video take a medium to high amount of editing effort. The final small portion of video creation is uploading, metadata, and other finalization work. This is actually constant for most videos and takes about an hour. So that's it. I don't look at analytics more than once a day, but I read every single comment. In fact, I don't care that much about a video once it is published. As the saying goes, art is never finished, it is only abandoned. Thanks for watching. Until next time, goodbye.